Sorry, guys. I messed up. Oh, well. Check one, check one, check one. Okay, guys, so we're in a weird situation here. First of all, good afternoon, good evening, all you folks out there. Andre, way out, my favorite Belgian of all time. So we got our EU people out there. First of all, can anybody hear me? I've got a new sound thing I'm trying to use today, and I'm nervous as a cat that it's not functioning. So, all right, Dave Rush already tells me I'm looking and sounding good. I already knew I'd look good, Dave. I just need to hear somebody tell me I sounded good too. And we've got that. Okay, let me just get a couple more things. And guys, I got to apologize. I am sitting here in my son-in-law and my daughter's house. We're still waiting for grandkid number 3, and I'm an hour behind Central Time here in Denver. And I got in my head I had another hour. Dave Rush literally just sends me a message, 3-minute warning. I'm like, okay. So sorry about that, but you guys, if I hadn't said anything, you guys wouldn't have noticed at all, would you? All right, so I got to queue one more thing up. CLW Chang, I haven't seen you in ages. How you doing, man? Give me one more sec. Queue one more thing up. Okay. And we are absolutely and 100% officially live. So hello, everybody. My name is Mike Meyers. I welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the Mike Meyers live stream. Ask Mike anything. The goal of this live stream is to provide those of us who are isolated by the coronavirus an opportunity to continue our studies for Comptia certifications. Now, here on this channel, we concentrate on the Comptia IT Fundamentals, A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus, but we can certainly go outside of those on an as-needed basis, and as well as talking about regular, good old stuff, technology, no religion, no sex, no politics. Other than that, I'm okay. So anyway, here's how this works. On the right-hand side here on the Total Seminars channel, you'll see our big chat window. What I need you to do is hit that pull down next to the top chat and set it to live chat. That removes the YouTube algorithm and stops making weird things happen so I can see everything that everybody's doing. That'll be the first thing you want to do. Number 2, the 3 ellipses to the right of the live chat, click on that and make sure that your timestamps are toggled because we are going to have some giveaways today. And in order to make sure that you can participate in those, you need to make sure the timestamps are on because sometimes people get a little crabby when I do a competition and somebody says, well, I said it first. It's like, well, just because it says it first on yours doesn't mean that it sees it first on everybody else's. So anyway, we're all ready, and I think we're in good shape. All right, so anyway, we did have a question last week. I want to dive right into this, and I didn't have the answer right on top of me because it was one of those known kind of questions. And while I certainly do not want to quote, there is an exact question because Comptia would be upset if I did that. There is a question that basically says, I am convinced that I'm on a LAN and there's some form of MAC spoofing going on. What protocol is most likely going to help me determine MAC spoofing? I was trying to think, is there a particular tool? There's a number of Angry IP Scanner. I've been using it for 10 years and I still love it, especially for IPv4 networks. Still alive and well, works great. However, it's really more of a question about protocols. And so first off, let's just do a competition like right now. You guys ready? So the competition I'm going to have is, what is the protocol that we use? You ready? What protocol do we use to resolve MAC addresses from IP addresses? So what protocol do we use to resolve MAC addresses from IP addresses? The first person to type in the name of this protocol is going to win a 90-day free access to the Total Seminars Tester Package, better known as the Total Tester, on any of our many, many different types of products that we have out there. All right, here they come rolling in. No, Will Shaw, dang it, is not the name of a protocol. Sorry about that, buddy. Cosmic ATT, wait, no, is not one either. All right, so it looks like we got a number of people have typed in an answer. We already had, look at this, we have an answer already. Anthony Sissini, good Irish name there, Anthony. Anthony, you are the winner. The answer is ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. And Anthony, you were literally in the back channel going, that dude typed fast. And congratulations to you, Anthony. Big round of applause goes to you. You get 90-day free access to the Total Tester of your choice. Now, in order to take advantage of this, oh boy, you're going to have to send us an email. Dave Rush is going to send you the instructions to put into the to put into this email so that you can claim your prize. So congratulations to you, Anthony. Dave Rush, you're going to be a pal there and put that in. Anthony, just keep an eye on the chat window, and Dave Rush will give you the instructions. You basically have to send us an email, and well, not me, us an email. You send Dave Rush, daver@totalsim.com, and congratulations to you, Anthony. Okay, so to get back to the question itself, what would we use to detect if we had multiple devices that were using the same MAC address? Now, if one of those choices in that question were to be ARP, well, then ARP could be a good argument. But if ARP isn't there, there is another protocol, not talked about too often, but a number of utilities use it, called RARP, Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. And I would recommend that the answer to that would be, and I believe that was Matthew Klein. Is he on today? Can't tell. But Matthew, that would be the answer, is RARP. Okay, people always get weird at me. They're like, well, Mike, how do I use RARP? Well, you don't use RARP. You buy utilities or you download utilities, and those utilities do it for you. So Angry IP Scanner, there's about 5 or 6 free to cheap IP scanners out there that can be very, very handy. Most of these scanners will scan a local area network. They go through, they list all the IP addresses. They use, ICMP for ping. They use all these different types of protocols to discover what computers are on the network, and then if they see conflicts, they'll light those up for you. So they're all good. They're all good. Yeah, Anthony, I was going to say I hadn't seen you for a while. William Jeske, we got to let everybody coming in free. But Dave Rush is disagreeing with me. He's saying it's DHCP, and I would say he's wrong. I'd have to actually, and again, we can't actually talk about actual questions, and we don't want to do that on this channel. But the actual protocol would be very, very important to me. For example, one way I could easily get past DHCP is that I could just use, if I was doing something like that, I could just use static IP addresses, and DHCP would have nothing to do with that. But whatever. All right. Okay, so guys, do keep in mind that we started here at 2 o'clock. Well, at least for me, it's 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Mountain Time. We are in Mountain Daylight Time here, and we will run until 2 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time, or until the questions run out. So it's completely up to you. I am here to answer your questions. So sometimes I can't run past it, but a lot of times we run a little bit shorter, just because it's it just depends on how many questions we have. Andre DeGoyer, what's in your ear, Mike? Oh, it's a little bug in my ear. No, it's my brand new Samsung. What are they called again? Good Lord, hang on. They're earbuds. Let me get the right name for you, because my buddy Andre asked. And when my buddy Andre asks, I give accurate answers. These are just the Galaxy Buds 2. Okay, I think, sorry, we're having a little jump up and down there, so sorry about that. We are here. Happy folks. All right, Elaine Batzer. Elaine, look at you, man. I put you on one show on Monday, and here you are back because you're just a glutton for more. Elaine, I'm hoping you're having a good time there in Houston. All right, all right, hold on. 2:03 p.m. Daniel. They used to store settings you'd make to CMOS on a CMOS chip, but is now part of the motherboard chipset, I think. It is. Does the CMOS battery do anything more other than maintain the real-time clock? It gets really hard to get chipset manufacturers to tell you exactly how they store it. There is an argument that some people have done, and this is on very late generation motherboards, where they've actually let the battery run out on a motherboard, and it does seem to lose all of its information. However, you got to remember, on today's systems, just the boot process as they query. They're going to look for the mass storage. They're going to look for the amount of memory. A lot of stuff that we used to have to type in manually back in the old days is now pretty much completely automated. The one thing they can't type in automatically for a lot of systems is the time. So even though you might have an operating system like Windows that will query on a network time protocol, an MTP, on Windows systems in particular, if your clock is way off, I mean way off, it will prevent you from logging in. So I will argue that pretty much the only thing they do anymore, Daniel, is keep the time, date and time right. All right. So anytime you see me turn my head like this, folks, I'm looking on the chat now. I'm looking for a question. Wilson, good to see you, man. There you go, Anthony. Dave Rush sent the information for you to get your 90-day practice questions, and you'll see it says send the email to daver@totalsim.com. You got all that. It's a 206. I'll let you deal with that. Oh my God, Anthony, I forgot all about you. Uh, Anthony, you're the instructor who had that really great program, ex-military, right? We need to talk. We really need to talk. Michael Liebert, can you tell us a little about the new CyberNow Labs Cybersecurity Academy, please? Sure, Michael. Do keep in mind that I am an investor in this program, so I think it's important to make sure you're aware of that. But anyway, they have a program where in just a few months they can get you pretty. Nobody can guarantee anything, but they're going to get you a extremely high-paying job. It is absolutely amazing how well this works, and shocking is might even be a better word to use. And the program, a lot of people want to call it a boot camp, and I hate that term. There are certain points in life. I remember back in 1991 that they had a program called Novell, and it was a program called Certified Novell Engineer. And the demand for Novell engineers, not even engineers, I hate that word, they were techs, network guys, was so high that almost anybody with a CNA was pretty much guaranteed, I again can't use the true word guarantee, is guaranteed an extremely high-paying job for the time. And what we're running into right now is we have such a shortage of security techs out there that, depending on who you talk to, it's probably close to 1 million techs here in the United States alone that we're short of, that are needed for tier 1, tier 2 IT security jobs, primarily supporting data centers. So this is a big deal, and the demand is so high. They kept the level to entries was so high for so many years. Well, 15 years ago these positions didn't exist. 10 years ago they barely existed. 5 years ago the demand started to grow for them, and now we're out of control. We're in trouble. And these are usually folks who work for managed security providers, people who remotely provide security to data centers, that kind of a thing. And their job is to watch for real-time watching for attacks in general. And the demand is so high for them right now that it used to be you had to have a master's degree, then they dumped that, then you have a bachelor's degree, they dumped that. I mean, you can literally be, I'm not kidding, you ready? You can have a high school degree, okay? You don't even need American citizenship anymore. You have to have the ability to work in the United States. That's about it. But you don't even. And by the way, folks, this is not a U.S.-centric program. They're doing a lot of this in Germany as well. The CyberNow Labs. It's absolutely amazing that what you do need is you have to have a lot of dedication, be ready to work extremely hard for 5 or 6 months of your life, okay? But in return, if you get through this program, they refuse to guarantee it because people do things, but they have in essence a 90% placement rate. I mean, you always talk about placement. We're talking about these guys they have like full-time fanatical placement people. All right, it's not like they're going to sit here and go, okay, here's how to write a resume. Okay, here's how to do a interview. No, they actually place you. They're working hard with these people because there's so much demand. They get you jobs. In my experience, every person who was serious about the program got a great job. A great job. Like 88,000 is the current average. Um, so it's an absolutely amazing program to say the least, and one that is sorry, Dave Rush is texting me. Whenever Dave, I start looking over here. An absolutely amazing program, folks. I not only do I think this is a great program, I love it so much I invested in it. I don't know what else I can say. I put my money where my mouth is. Uh, they put you into a real security operations center, not a fake one, not a simulation, a real honest to Pete SOC, and put you to work pretty much from day one. It is an incredible program, and you can do it from home. It's a virtualized program. Sorry, it's a remote program. So if you're the type of person that needs to work from home, it doesn't matter where you live. If you're in the Washington D.C. area or somewhere in Germany, I forget where it is, you can actually go in the real classroom. But basically, it's the same screens as you're seeing from remotely. It doesn't make any difference. But it's an absolutely incredible program. And now, a couple of things here. Number one, it's not cheap. I'm going to tell you right now, the base price is $6,800. And so they have these cohorts that start out, every couple of months. The cohort is what they call a class. $6,800, but they have all these deals. No, that you can't get a student loan. I told them if they did student loans, I'd quit them. So there's no student loans. But for example, you can go for a couple of weeks into this program, and if you don't like it, they give you your money back. And when I say give your money back, I hate these anything out there. It's like, oh, your money back, and then to get your money back, you have to, fill out 10,000 forms, and that's not that way at all. These guys are super communicative, and they're great. They have programs where you can just put a little bit of money down, and you pay them $100 a week or something like that. It is a evenings and weekend program. They'll let you have your Sundays, but that's about it. So many people are working. They've developed a program so it's an evenings and weekends type program. Absolutely incredible program, and I can't recommend it enough. To check that out, go ahead and check out Cyber Now Labs. Cyber Now Labs. Check them out. You call them up. You'll talk to a human being. There is no high pressure sales at all. Talk to them, ask the hard questions, and see if that works for you. It is not for everybody. I'm going to tell you right now. Forget about the money for a minute. If you don't have the dedication and the motivation and to put the time and energy in, save your money. All right? Go with the old classic way. Get some certs. Get that entry-level job at $15, $20 an hour, and march your way up. But if you do have that kind of work ethic, if you have that kind of energy, I can't recommend it enough. Michael, let them know Mike Meyers sent you. I don't know if there's any more discounts. There were discounts, but we're too close to the next cohort starts February 23rd. That's 10 days from now. Check it out. 219. Hey, there's Tolowit. Ajir 128. Look at this. Everybody wants to talk about. These earbuds are incredible. The one thing I got to warn you about is if you use them, you're not going to be able to hear anybody around you. My daughter and my son-in-law keep talking to me, and I'm just like, hey, they're very, very impressive in the quality. Why are you making all these Star Trek references, Tolowit? Mom's. Good to see you again. My buddy Wayne Stevens, who always calls me literally during these AMAs. Kylie, I'm going to Mass with the Pope at the end of the month. He's visiting my city again. Excellent. Jesus Christo Domine. Oh, Michael, I keep hearing about these military veteran discounts. I didn't realize it was that good. I said February 23rd. Sorry, David. Thanks for catching me. Andrew Seed, is 5G good? Yes, 5G is good. 5G is better than 4G. You're gonna. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Abby Reese, I paid $12,000 for UMass. Abby was it? Oh, now I understand the mass thing. I'm sorry, I didn't understand earlier. Abby, did it work out for you? Let me know. CLW Chang, is CyberNow Lab doable by holding a job? It surely you heard everything I just said, but I'll say it again. They're designed to be done while while you have a job. It's designed to. It's evenings and weekends, and they leave you your Sundays. That's about it. So but it's hard work. I really want to stress to you guys. Yeah, I know I'm an investor in it, and I'll make money if you guys buy into it, but I don't want to lose sleep recommending something that doesn't work for you. I don't want to ever hear anybody that I said, this is a great program, talk to me 6 months later and say I can't get a job. The only way that's going to happen is if you don't have the work ethic. My greatest fear about this program is that it's designed for people who are ready to hump it for a few months. And at the end of this rainbow is a $90,000 a year job, which, by the way, for most people in 6 to 8 months, you might as well put another 30 on top of it. I'm not kidding. It's that good. Folks, these opportunities don't come around in IT very often. And it's been 30 years. Well, actually, I could go back to 2001. There was a program with something called an MCSE. But it's if it wasn't that good, hey, man, I've made my fortune. I've got plenty of money. I don't need to, I don't need any more. Not really. And it's that good. So, yes. The Zerk 678. What is this, Old Home Week? It's good to see you, Zerk 6, man. All right. James Brewer, if you want to pass A+, should I study 1001 or 1100? So do keep in mind that the 1100 series came out about 2 months ago, all right? The 1001, 1002 is still good until October. Nobody cares which one you take, James, but what you do need to keep in mind is that come October, you won't be able to take the 1001, 1002 anymore. So it takes most people about 220 study hours to pass an A+ certification. Remember, there's 2 exams, right? So it needs about 220 hours to do that. If you can do 220 hours in the time frame before October, you're going to find it a lot easier to pass with the 1001, 1002 versus the 1101, 1102. It's not that they're particularly harder. It's just that the 1001, 1002 has been around now for 3 years. So, always take the older exam when you have a choice. Jacques Alexander, hey Mike, I'm taking my 1002 in 2 days. All right, I'm scoring 89% of most. Am I ready to take it? You're probably ready to take it. If you're in the 80-90% range, you're probably going to take it. And the problem is, Jack, how do you get from an 80% pass to a 90% pass? And the secret is sometimes especially when did you say you're taking it? In 2 days. Just take the exam. If you're taking it in 2 days, it's already scheduled, everything's set up. You're going to be okay. Oh, that's right. In the Wrath of Khan, that's where they put those things in people's ears. I've got it. Abby Reese is not a fan of that. Oh, that's the. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Abby. Daniel, follow up. Does CBOS use flash storage now? I do not. This is an old argument, Daniel, and the problem is when you get this far down into the chipset manufacturers, number one, it's not just one answer. Different chipsets may do different things. It is not my understanding. It's been about 2 years since I've done 3 years since I've done hard research on this. It's not been my understanding that anybody was using flash. They still call it a CMOS, even though it's on a late generation chips, connected to a iodine processor. So I guess the more important thing is, A, it just doesn't matter, right? As long as it, stores what we need stored. And B, the challenge is CMOS is really ancient technology, but sometimes it's really easy to put very ancient technology into a chipset. The right answer is I'm going to say, I don't know. Straussbot, when will the new Comptia A Plus study guide release? Only a couple have come out. Keep in mind that Comptia, the time period between Comptia announcing the new exam and when they actually let it out was very short. They've never been so short before. So we literally just finished like the last chapter of my book like today. So it's going to be a few months before mine's out. There's only like one of my serious competitors has a book out, and I haven't looked at it yet, so I can't judge it. Don Odinga. Hey, Don. Hello, Uncle Mike. Hey, Don. I wish to ask, when one needs to consider scalability of a network, how would you go about it in terms of three-tier hardware connections, having in mind the... Woo! Don, I don't know what a three-tier hardware connection is, so I'm going to have to skip you on that one. Hmm. Well, now I'm curious. I've been told that my video's stuttering, so I'm afraid to open up yet another browser window, but let's see what we get. Don, I'm going to have to skip your question right now. I'm sorry, brother. Mm-mm-mm. 225, Richard James. Hi, Mike. Would you choose SANS SEC 401 or Security Plus? Whew. So SEC 401 is a good. The only reason you're going to go with SEC 401 is that you're going to start going up the GIAC track, which is a great track. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be expensive a lot. So Richard, if you got a company who's willing to pay for the training and the test for any SANS course, go with that. But that doesn't actually negate Security Plus. Security Plus is more of a survey of IT security, and they're kind of they're different. They're different. Chris Doherty at 225. I don't know if you see my message, Chris. I guess I missed it, but thanks for the great test products. Help me pass those tests, Chris. You're very welcome. I get to go to bed at night going, not only do I make money, but I'm doing good stuff while I'm doing it. All right. I mean, like connecting these devices without having a messy network. Again, Don, you got me at a loss. I'm sorry. Oh, Don, are you talking about data center three tier? Uh, Don, keep trying, brother. We'll get there. The Xerxes 78 of the A plus Net plus Security plus CYSA. How does CYSA plus test rate for difficulty? I failed it 3 times before I passed it. I would say it's very hard. Uh, Don, if you're just talking about a small network, you wouldn't be able to do any of that. Remember, because you just don't have the level of complexity to argue for, putting that level of, remember, it's how you stagger the switches basically when you have, 500 server systems. How do you stagger the switches for the most efficient way? And then that would absolutely work. But for like at home, you just have a few servers that wouldn't make any sense at all. In most people's, I have a fairly complicated Soho network in my house, and everything ties in through one. Uh, uh, I got one distribution frame with one punch down that goes to one whomper of a switch, and I'm just fine. In fact, in most home networks, the biggest problem people run into is, well, A, they think that they can do it all in wireless, which is fine for individual hosts. No server should ever be connected wirelessly. But secondarily, they don't track their cabling standards. So if you're not using Cat 6A, you're already in trouble today, if not already things like Cat 7. Secondarily, if you're not running a minimum of gigabit you're making a big mistake. And I can't tell you, every little laptop and desktop system today has gigabit as an absolute rock bottom minimum. We're seeing 2 gigabits that are showing up quite a bit, and we're even starting to see 10 gig showing up in an individual system. But for a server, if you're not running 10 gig, you're making a mistake, in my opinion. Did I also mention that I'm the type of person who, when I watch YouTube, you know how it starts to queue up and you wait for a couple seconds? That drives me batty. Raul Patel. How long does it take a beginner to study and do the Comptia A plus exams in your it takes 220 hours, Raul. Now the question is how long does it take you to do 220 hours of studying? I mean, if you're going to do 1 hour a week, then it's going to take you 4 years to do it, right? So, Raul, the question is use 220 hours as a rough gauge, and then you figure out how many hours per week you can study. I've seen people do it in a week. I've seen people do it in 2 years. So it's completely up to you. Is the second a lot harder? I don't think the second. I've heard people say that before, but I disagree. I think both exams are equally hard. Let me rephrase that. They're both interesting. You know, I mean, if you love this stuff like I do, you know, they're easy, they're trivial almost. Anthony again. Ask all the questions you want, Anthony. Whew. Besides the students having a passion for IT, what is the best way to motivate students to embrace the field and get through the courses without burning out? Well, Anthony, I remember when I saw you over at Skills USA, I think the biggest reason kids burn out is because it's a lack of a good instructor. And Anthony, this is one thing in our extensive conversation we had that I'm not worried about you, is that you are a very passionate instructor. What I would recommend, like for example, the Pringle Can Enigma thing that you turned me on to, little things like that are so important. And then the other thing you can do to prevent burnout is give the kids real work. I can't tell you how much success I've seen in high schools where they actually allow the students themselves to be level 1 techs, and it's a big plus for them. And I can't recommend that enough. But those would be the biggest things. Embracing the field, they're already. If somebody's embracing the field already, then it's going to be hard to get them out of there. Cosmic ATT. Not sure if you saw the question. Are there any fields in IT that are oversaturated? Oh, hell no. IT is growing faster now than it ever has. The only problem is certain things are getting pushed overseas I don't like. 20 years ago it was very common to have an IT guy in every office. And if you have an office of 50 to 100 people or less, you probably don't even have dedicated IT people anymore. So the problem is a lot of people confuse oversaturated with obsolete. For example, one thing, some used to go where people would be going for CCNA, and CCNA is still a great certification. It's your entry level into Cisco, but the problem is unless you're in a data center, the demand for Cisco people is dropping because virtualization has taken over so much of that. There's tons of demand for CCNA, but it usually finds you're going to have to jump in a car and drive to your local Amazon building to actually go to work every morning. Anthony, man, you and I really need to talk some more. I don't feel we had enough. Guys, this Anthony Ciccini, you're a great guy. I need you to get on. I'm going to put him on. Get him on Zoom. Catherine LeGrande, good to see you, Catherine. Kylie Powder, do you have all the seasons? Do I have to have all? No, not really. Kylie, just get some of the basic ones in there, and you're fine. You know, one of the things that people run into, especially, 3 years ago, we still had a lot of optical media out there, and in 3 years, things have faded dramatically. I still buy optical media drives for my desktop systems, but that's just because I play with a lot of stuff, and I find myself going back to things more and more. Comptia does a pretty good job of if a technology starts to fade, they'll start yanking questions out of the exam. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Just give me a moment, guys. I'm scrolling through. Yeah, I got you, Don. Uh, yes. Can't. Okay, Don. I think I answered that one pretty good. I'm gonna move on. Yeah, actually, Elaine and Anthony, you two should probably exchange contact information. You both have very exciting programs, and Elaine, just to warn you, Anthony's probably going to be another one of these instructors who gets in the inner sanctum. So just be aware of that. Lester, sorry I'm late, man. Where have you been, young man? Oh, Matthew, we already did it already. Uh, so Matthew, I think it's RARP. Uh, a lot of these people are saying DHCP, but I would challenge that. If you knew that everybody on the land was DHCP, then that'd be fine. 47. How good is CyberNow Labs? I'm in an IT school right now, and I don't feel like I'm getting the value out of my current school. 47, I just gave a big speech on it here no more than 15 minutes ago. So 47, what I'd ask you to do is go ahead and rewind this, and we'll tell you. I'll tell you all about it. It's in this one. Just go ahead and rewind it. Rashawn Peterson, I've been gone for a while. Where's Scott? Scott no longer works for me, man. He has moved on to other things, and we wish him well. But that's almost dated information now, Rashawn. You're stuck looking at my shining face. So lucky, lucky you. Yeah, Matthew, I literally had your question. That was like the first thing on my mind was to answer your question today. And in fact, even Dave Rush was saying, no, it's DHCP. I'm going to say it's RARP, and I'm sticking to what I said earlier. Oh, Anthony, I am so sorry that I confused you with someone else, Anthony. But yes, with TJ. Yes, I know exactly who you are, and Anthony, I still think you're the person. Anthony, did you not do here? Anthony, are you not the one who taught me about the Enigma Pringle can? That's who I meant. Eleni Bazar. Ooh, boy, that's a tough name for me to pronounce. Do companies hire a person with only an A plus certification? No. Companies hire people with an A plus certification. Man, Anthony, I'm so sorry I got you wrong, but I apologize. Uh, People hire people with an A plus certification and good interview skills, good technical skills, good motivation, that kind of a thing. So it's can can you have only an A plus certification? Yeah, but you have to have other stuff as well too. And I guess my problem is now is that some of these super duper programs, if you guys aren't connected to me on LinkedIn, you really need to get on LinkedIn. There is this young lady who was going through the CyberNow Labs program who was just impressed me to death. The gal had very almost no technical skills. Um, she is blind in one eye. I mean, just goes on and on. And she is working and doing a great job uh, through CyberNow Labs. It's absolutely impressive. Absolutely impressive, to say the least. Okay, any CRC error is Matthew 2:39 p.m. CRC errors are going to be a problem with the Ethernet packet itself. Uh, I was saying it's going to be well, layer one. Matthew, a lot of times the questions like this are in the details. It's very nervous for me to talk about these questions because I do not want to subscribe to anybody who is using brain dumps. I'm not against brain dumps if they're used as a study thing as opposed to a cheat thing. There's a big difference. I have used brain dumps in the past, but I don't use them to try to figure out what questions are on the exam. That's a terrible thing to do. What you can use them for is as like a study guide. Oh, these are talking about DHCP or what's RARP and stuff like that. Then they can be very, very handy. So, Dave, the problem with that particular Matthew Klein question about the CRC errors is the CRC is at layer 2, obviously, because it's part of the Ethernet frame, but is layer 1 creating the actual problem itself. And again, Matthew, the devil is in the details on that particular one. Rahul Patel. Wait a minute. Hold on, guys. Where do you go? Rahul Patel. Do you know where I can find good A-plus practice papers or recommended in any particular? Yeah, I do. It's called Mike Meyers Total Seminars Testing, all right? Look, in order to pass any certification, it's not even IT certification. In order to pass anything, you need 3 things. Number 1, you need good instruction. So it's either going to be instructor-led training or it's going to be video. You might want to check out Udemy, UDEMY, for popular Mike Meyers video, A-plus training there. Number 2, you're going to need some kind of reference. May I recommend the Mike Meyers A-plus book, Certification Exam Guide by McGraw-Hill. And then number 3, you're going to need some kind of practice questions to see how you're doing, and that is the Total Tester, which all are available at www.totalsem. That's TOTALSEM.com. Raul, you cracked me up. It's what I do for a living. It's what I've been doing for a living for a long time. Yet, Jesse Arborough, are there any entry-level companies for remote IT jobs help desk? There are, Jesse, but even these remote jobs, you're still going to have to go to the office sometimes. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to hire you from 1,000 miles away. You know what? It doesn't work that way. I have heard of those types of jobs. I've never actually seen one in the real world. It's like a snipe. I hear about them, but I don't think they really exist. So there are a lot of companies who do remote work, but in those remote work jobs, you're still going to have to be coming to the office a few times a month. So, think about that. Todd Blevins. My students have the most issue on the A-plus exam is the wording of the exams. Todd, I completely agree with you. A lot of times what I see that people run into when they're practicing for exams is they only use one set of practice questions. And I'm literally telling you, if you buy my practice questions, thank you very much. But you really need to buy one of my competitors. Test Out does a good job. I'd probably recommend those. Jason Dion, of all people, does a pretty good job with his practice questions as well. It's really important that you always buy 2 sources of practice questions. If you hand me a book, I'll be able to read it, a paragraph, and I'll be able to go, oh, this is a Ernest Hemingway or something. It's because of the writing style that you get used to it. And people who write practice questions also get a writing style. And one of the great dangers is when you're doing practice questions, you get used to the writing style of one particular writer. And that's always a bad idea. So particularly because you'll start to go, oh, that's how it's said. And then when you go and actually sit for the real exam, it's like, this doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Or it sounds funny. So getting multiple sources keeps you from being locked into one writing style on practice questions. Again, Test Out or Jason Dion, both of those are good. Thanks. Don, can you get hired for network administration with having to take Can you get hired for network administration without having to take the Network Plus exams, but did the course and understood the practice questions? Yeah, Don, you can. What you're basically saying is, can you hit a technical interview out of the park and get a job? Sure, you can. Got to remember, certifications will never get you a job. Certifications, only thing they do is get your resume at the top of a stack, or they get you past the HR department. So if you really know your stuff and you can get to a technical interview and show that you know your stuff, certifications are not important. But Don, you're going to get a lot more rejections is the only downside. Yes, Anthony. I've known TJ for a long time, and TJ is the one who showed you the Challenger on. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, yep. Ann McGee. Mike, I get confused with IaaS and PaaS cloud models. I can't ever get the questions. Can you explain the difference? Sure. All right. So with infrastructure, IaaS stands for infrastructure as a service. Okay, and with IaaS, when you go to set up a system, you get on Amazon Web Services on their S3 services, for example. When you spin up a instance, you're making a virtual machine, and they will ask you questions like, what kind of processor do you want? How much RAM do you want? How much storage do you want? What type of operating system do you want me to load? If they ask you those questions, that is infrastructure as a service, okay? For a lot of people, I mean, the number one user of these types of things are programmers. And programmers, while nice people, usually don't give a hoot about how many processors and what type of processor and how much RAM and those things. They just want to upload their code into some magic place, press the go button, and if it runs too slow, they want to have one big knob that they can turn up to 5. And they're really adding more processors or RAM, but they don't see it. So when you see situations where people are just uploading code to this magic place and then they run it without ever talking about number of CPUs, how much RAM, what operating system, whenever you see that, now you're talking about as platform as a service. So the big difference is IaaS is going to ask about CPUs, RAM, operating system. Platform as a service, like Heroku is probably the most famous one. They're just going to ask you to upload your code, press a go button, and Heroku literally has a knob icon. And if you turn that knob, the cash register starts going, baby. And they do a good job. They literally show you how much money you're spending. But they just... all the details of your platform are taken care of for you. That's the difference, Ann. The Xerxes 78. CertMaster is expensive and overcomplex in my opinion. CertMaster is the actual competitive program that Comptia makes. Personally, I don't think Comptia should even be in the writing, making training materials. They should be concentrating on their exam, but they do always do a good job of overcharging people, in my opinion, which I'm always glad to see. I don't want to say too much negative about Comptia directly, because we're frenemies. Oh, Brad, Mad Men is great. Already on season 4. I'm telling you, Mad Men's one of the best television series ever written. Here, Alex is adding a little bit. On IaaS, you can install your own SQL server, but then you're responsible for updating it. But there are also PAS SQL servers, which are managed by the server. Yeah, absolutely, Alex. That's a great example. Thank you for adding on to that. All right, guys. Ooh, time flies, we're having fun. We only have a few more minutes here, guys. Looks like the questions have timed out. All right, we had a good competition today, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Anthony, I'm so sorry I confused you, but everything I do say holds true. Anthony, send me an email. I don't have my usual... Anthony, I need you to send me an email directly. Anthony, my email is just mike@TotalSem. That's TOTALSEM.com. Anthony, send me an email, and let's just stay in contact. Will's got to go fly a plane. All right, man. Folks, I am out the door. So much fun to see you. Remember, this Friday it's going to be Dave Rush AMA or Drama right here at 2 o'clock on Friday on the Total Seminars channel here on YouTube. Please check that out. And, oh, thank you, Dave, for putting up my emails. And I will be back in Houston on Monday, back in the studio. I want to say a special thanks to John and Emily Kelly, my daughter and son-in-law, for letting me. I'm literally in their living room, and they have been nice enough to let me take over their house and do the AMA from the comfort of my home. Hopefully by this time next week, I'll also be here to Well, I'll be home, but I promise I'll have a picture of my new granddaughter. I'm waving my finger, and she's like, "Dude, it comes when it comes." So just be cool. And anyway, so this is Mike signing off from Denver, Colorado. I'll be back in Houston next week. Until then, this is little Uncle Mikey saying good night. Good night, kids. Bye bye.